continuing Proverbs chapters 4 to 7 today. Reading from verse 1. Hear you children the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake you not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, Let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. As I opened the book of Psalms and also Proverbs, some of these words are God speaking through Solomon or David. Remember Deuteronomy chapters 8 verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that you may live, and multiply, and go in to possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers. Deuteronomy 30:16. In that I command thee this day to love Yahweh thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And Yahweh thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. Proverbs 7:2, we read yesterday. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. And lastly, Yeshua speaking, if thou wilt enter into life, keep my commandments. Okay, moving on to chapters 9, which speaks about warnings against adultery. I'm going to start reading from verse...
It's chapter 5,
from verse 3. So it's Proverbs 5, verse 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Verse 8. Remove thy way far from her, and come not near the door of her house, lest thou give thine honour unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labours be in the house of a stranger, and thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, How have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to them that instructed me. Verse 21. For the ways of a man are before the eyes of Yahweh, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cord of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. And in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. Remember, the Bible uses the word strange for things that are unholy, ungodly. Remember Aaron's sons that offered strange fire to Yahweh, and he consumed him. So these strange women are women not of God. Proverbs chapter 6 verse 1. My son, if thou be surety for thy friend, if thou hast stricken thy hand with a stranger, thou art snared with the words of thy mouth. Thou art taken with the words of thy mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver thyself. When thou art come into the hand of thy friend, go, humble thyself, and make sure thy friend. Verse 4. Give not sleep to thine eyes, nor slumber to thy eyelids. Verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which have no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the arms to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. So that is all about child raising, I would say. Not all about, but we can use that for raising our children and preparing them to be workers and not sleeping, waking up late and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you can get that yourselves. And that is the ways to prosperity. Of course, I'm also relying on God. Chapter 6, continuing in verse 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof of instruction are the way of life. Verse 32. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonour shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. And last chapter for today, Proverbs chapter 7, reading from verse 1. My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as an apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thy heart. Verse 21. With her much fair speech she causeth him to yield. With the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Verse 26. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. That continues the thought of going on to strange women who ensnare you. Shalom until tomorrow, God willing. Of course, that also applies as a warning to women who go after strange men.